Hi guys, I'm October, but you can call me Toby. Thanks for coming to spend some time with me today. For today's project, I wanted to try out the viral 6-Day Star Blanket by McKnit. These are the tools that I used on this project. I did also use a wool needle to weave in my ends. If you'd like information on the tools to use and what size yarn and how much of it you'll need, depending on what type of blanket you're going to make, please visit Betty's website. I have linked it below in my description. Her patterns are free, and if you would like to purchase it, they're very well priced and available on her website for purchase as well. Now, this is not a tutorial, but I will have a chat about the process, what I thought of the pattern, how long it took me, my outcomes, all whilst I crochet a couple of rounds. So I've been working on this 6-Day SuperStar blanket by McKnit. The pattern is by McKnit, and she does offer these free on her website, the written patterns. They're pretty nice to follow. I've really enjoyed it, and I just wanted to have a chat about the process of it. I'm not going to go through the pattern itself because you can access those on her website, which I will link in the description below. If you're into crochet, if you're a beginner or intermediate or advanced, her pattern's good fun. It's nice to follow. The stitches aren't difficult themselves, and once you understand the pattern, the way it's written, it's really easy to follow. For this pattern, I decided to use a variegated wool or a variegated yarn because I didn't want to have to think about colour swaps with the different rows. I also did not want to have to weave in tails for each colour swap. Honestly, weaving in ends is one of my least favourite parts of crochet. What have I done here? So I did not really want to have to do that for this many rows, and the amount of tails it would take, because it's 2 per change, as you can see, and I did not want to have to work all of those in. Alright, that's not too drastic of a colour change, that'll be fine. And then we'll be back into these pretty blues. So pop that to the side. So, as I said, this is not a tutorial. I just wanted to film a little bit of it and have a chat about how I found the process and what I thought of the pattern, if I'm liking the outcome, the reason I'm making it in the first place. So, I really love the pattern. I did see the 6-Day Star Blanket come up in my shorts. I think it was in my shorts or on Instagram or something, and I thought it was gorgeous. And so I hopped onto her website to have a look at the pattern, see if it was free or not, and came across this SuperStar version, and it is just a more points on the star. Essentially, it's like a bigger star, and I just adored it. So I wanted to do this one, and I've recently become an auntie, so I thought, why not do it for my sister's little baby? And so I had to pick colours that somewhat gender neutral. I do know the gender of the baby, but I'm not going to go into that here. But I wanted colours that were a bit gender neutral, also that my sister would like and that would work in her... Why have I got a knot here? That would work in her house. And yeah, gender neutral, because I know she's not doing heavy into the set colours for set genders thing, which is cool because neither did I. Yeah, I had a couple balls of this yarn left that I'd used in another project, and I was looking at the colours of it, and then we've got this blue, which is similar to what's in the granny square shirt I recently made, the rust tone, which is also in that. We've got the whites, although they look more silvery. When you're working with it, it actually looks quite white. It moves into silver over here. And these lovely greens, which I know she loves this sort of mossy, sagey green tone. Like, what is it, like army green almost? I know she loves that tone. I know she loves the blues. I know she loves the rust. The silvery white's a lovely neutral that would work with most anything. And so this just looked like the perfect wool to use because it's variegated. I didn't have to think about colour swaps, but I would get this extremely fun outcome of colour. And so yeah, this was like the perfect wool. I popped down to my local Spotlight, which is a chain fabric and craft store here in Australia, and luckily they still have this in stock. And while after my first couple balls were used up, which was like, I think somewhere here maybe, that was the first couple balls that I used up, it was a different colorway. So I can show you that for anyone who doesn't know what I mean. On a ball of yarn, you've got the brand, the name, then you've got information on, hang on, are we gonna focus in here? Too shiny. We've got information on the weight, the yardage or the meters, what weight the actual like thickness of the yarn is, needles and hooks to use. And then you've got usually the composition, so what it's made of. This one is 100% acrylic, tells you how to take care of it. Because these are variegated, they give you a colourway on here, which is really lovely to let you see what the colours do. And then if we can we focus here? Come on. Focus in. Right, it really doesn't want to focus, but maybe I'll put a picture up on screen. But here is your barcode and colour name, colour number, and I'm not really sure what the article refers to, but the lot number here, this one, so my previous lot number was 2025 or 202425 or something like that. This one's 2024-11. So all the balls that I've got this time are this lot number, but the first two balls that I started off with were a different lot number. The difference that makes is when it's variegated like this, most of these lot tend to start off in these tones, these blue silver tones, and they move through to the green and red. There's less of that and back into the blue silver before moving back into the green red to sort of finish off. And the other ones I bought started off more in this green red tone and had less of the light blue silvery tones in it. So that's the difference there. And I'll pop a photo up on screen of, sorry, what do I want to show? I'll pop a photo up on screen now of this so that you can actually see it clearly. But yeah, the lot number, if you're trying to get wools in the same colour, you want to go by the lot number. All wools will have them on there, and that's to do with like the dye process as well as with variegated yarns, the winding process of each lot of yarn or wool. I'll put timestamps on this so that anyone who already knows about lot numbers can just skip that part, but this was just the perfect colourway to make a blanket with. I think I got started on this one on Sunday. Currently, as I'm filming this, it is now Saturday, so it's been a full week. No, I did not work on this every day because being a full-time mum and now also making YouTube content, I did not have time each day this week to actually work on this. On Sunday, I started working on it, and what she says in the pattern, Betty, is that on the first day, in order to do this in 6 days, it's dependent on the size of wool you use, the hook size you use, and how big you actually want the blanket to be. So she says her 6-day ones are often, I think it's the kid size blankets, which is what I'm making here. Which makes sense because they're a bit smaller, so of course you're more likely to get them done in a shorter period of time. Each row of this takes a little bit longer to do as it gets bigger, of course, because you're doing more stitches. And I started on Sunday. She says in her pattern to get through the setup rounds, which for this SuperStar one, there was 11 setup rounds, which I think took me to, well, you'll be able to see in the first photo anyway, but I did cut and use green, so you'll see plenty of tails in the center section because I stuck with green for the center. I think it was something like here, I think, is where the first it was either here, I'll have to look back, or here was the first 11 rounds, because that does look like a full repeat pattern there. I have a feeling it might be that here, but anyway, yeah, because we start on a single crochet round. 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3. Yeah, we start on a single crochet round. So I think it's either this one here or this one here. But yeah, the first 11 rounds I got done on the Sunday. So that was my setup rounds done, and I was pretty content with that amount of work for that day, considering it was a full day taking care of my child as well. Then Monday, Tuesday, I was just working on getting out my Baldur's Gate video, because that was meant to go out on Tuesday. The editing for that is quite different to what I'm used to, definitely different to my crochet videos, and it was different to my Stardew Valley video as well. So it took a lot longer to edit it how I wanted it than I expected. So that one went up on Wednesday night, I think, here. So I didn't get back to this until Thursday, I feel like. I don't know, I'll have to have a look at the timestamps on the photos I took to be certain. Yeah, I didn't get to do my first round of repeats in one sitting. The repeat round, so you do 11 setup rounds with this one, and then I haven't looked at any of our other patterns, so I can't speak to those. But for this SuperStar one, 11 rounds of setup crochet, and then the repeat rounds, there's 7 rounds, and they're numbered a bit oddly, but I think that's to do with our other patterns. So it's round 4, 5, 6, 7, and then round 2, 3, and that's your 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 6 rounds. That's your 6 rounds that repeat after that. So I've cut away here to show you how far I got on each day. My setup rounds on the first day, I got a full set of repeat rounds done on the Wednesday, half a set of repeat rounds Thursday morning, another half set of repeat rounds Thursday afternoon, and then Thursday evening, another half set of repeat rounds. So Thursday was a good day. Saturday, while I was filming this, I got another half set of repeat rounds. Sunday, the last half set of repeat rounds and the last round of single crochet, worked in all my tails, and then on Monday I got to do my 3 border rounds and worked in all the tails, and it was all complete. So it did end up taking me 6 days, although they were not 6 consecutive days. This has been the largest crochet needle I've used. This is a 9mm, so it's a nice thick hook. And it's the largest hook I've actually ever used, because when I started out crochet it was for my dolls, so that was working with like a 1.5mm hook, I feel like. And a lot of the other crochet I've done, it tends to be using, I think the largest I've used on any recent project was like a 4 or a 5mm hook. So this 9mm, even thinking about moving up to a 10 for these outer rows, is, yeah, really smooth to use, just because everything's so open and easy to get into, easy to pull back through with the yarn. The hook has a nice weight and size in my hand. Would I do another one of these? Yes, definitely. This has been a really fun project. I like how quickly it's worked up. I love how many variations you could do on this just with colour. I really recommend going onto her site and having a look, because she's got a heap of different blankets made by different people. I don't know if they were pattern testers or what, but she references each person who's made them, of course, in the photos. But some of the photos, like the colour ways that people have chosen or created are just spectacular. Like, some of them would have taken so long, like you would have had so many ends to work in, which, as I said, is not something I enjoy. So I kind of avoid it wherever I can. But the outcomes, oh my god, just beautiful. And I really do love how Betty has written the pattern. As I mentioned in like other videos, I'm new to pattern writing. A lot of my crochet learning has just been through doing free patterns, some purchase patterns for sure, but a lot of free patterns of things I find and just am interested to make online. And that's on YouTube and that's on websites as well. So I'm by no means a pro pattern reader or maker. And so the way that she has written out her pattern, the way that Betty has written out her pattern, was really interesting to me, because these rounds, she writes out the first 11 rounds individually, of course, and you see in her pattern creation she uses brackets and square brackets and that sort of thing, like asterisks and stuff, to denote repeats and, you know, notes on how to finish off rows after doing repeats, that sort of thing. Like that's pretty standard practice from patterns I've read and things I've seen. But what she did in these repeating rounds to write the pattern, instead of like rewriting it 10 times to let you know the stitch change per row, because this of course gets bigger, it increases, there's more stitches as you do each round, there's more stitches, but instead of rewriting that pattern, she has come up with or used, I don't know if she came up with it or if she's seen it elsewhere, but she's used brackets and then explained afterwards that in the brackets it shows how many stitches per following round you will do in place of the initial number. Now that's a little bit hard to explain, so maybe I'll just write up an example of what that looks like just to show you, because I don't want to share her pattern because it is her pattern, and if you would like to use it, go to her website to use it, because her website, while it is a free pattern, you can download it and pay for it, or you can use her website which has ads on it, so she is getting some revenue from that. So I will not be putting her pattern directly up here at all. I'll put up an example of what I sort of mean. So she says, you know, do this number of single crochets between the peaks being the peaks. So in these valleys, do this number of single crochets, and then in brackets next to the number for the single crochets, she has put, it might be an increase of 2, or it might be an increase of 5 or 6 or whatever it is. She's put the increased numbers for the following rounds in the brackets, and they're just separated by commas. So as you're working through the following rounds, you stop looking at the initial number and you start looking at the number of rounds you're up to in the brackets. So you do your first round and it's the number of crochets or the number of stitches on the outside of the brackets. And then the next time you come back to doing that particular round, so we're on round 2 at the moment, so the next time I come back around to doing round 2, instead of looking at the number outside of the brackets, I'm looking at the first number inside of the brackets. And then on the third time I'm coming back to doing round 2 again, I'm looking at the second number inside of the brackets to let me know how many stitches I should have in my valleys, or how many single crochets, I should have in my valleys. And I've never seen that before. To me, that felt really innovative and like, what a clever way to keep it succinct but like easy to understand. I just really appreciate the way she's written them. I think if I ever do something that has lots of repeats like that, I think I'd definitely implement the same thing. If you are going to make this, I do recommend reading through the instructions at least once before you make it. I read through the instructions and I still sort of stuffed up at the start because I read through them quickly and I kind of like speed read through stuff, so I didn't take in... I took in the context rather than like the actual instructions. And so I thought I would be starting off with the hook size that my wool says to use, but in the instructions she does mention to use 0.5 to a mil larger hook size to start off, and she says to lay out your work and admire it regularly, which is a really nice way of saying just check that it's looking right, because if the edges curl up at all when you lay it out flat, you need to go up in a hook size, and you can go up by 5 mil or by a full mil. And at these sizes, it seems like it goes up by a mil rather than 5 mil, which I did not realise was a thing after the 7 mil hook. I thought hooks just went up in 5 mil increments. And I like making things for other people because it means I get to use different colours than what I would necessarily want to wear. Also, I don't like making stuff just for myself either. I don't know, I just never feel as motivated if it's just for me. It's easier to do things when I'm there for other people, I find. Let me know in the comments if you're the same. Like, do you do your craft for you? If it's like making a thing that's wearable, do you do it for yourself? Or do you do it for friends and family or for selling perhaps? You know, curious to know how other people do it. If you make it for yourself, how do you keep yourself motivated to get things finished? At this point, I'm like, I don't know, how far are we back? There's my marker here. Probably about halfway around. I'm going to stop here because I've been recording for about an hour. As I said, I'm not fastest crocheter, but enjoy what I do. So this is the row I'm working on. I did a row of single crochet, which you can barely see there because it's in the same colours. And yeah, that's what we've done while I've been sitting here talking to you. Again, this is a 6-day SuperStar blanket. Pattern is by McKnit, and I will link her website where she has the free patterns, or you can also purchase them if you don't want to see the ads on her website. But yeah, she has the free patterns available on her website if you're willing to put up with the ads, or purchase them. They're not crazily overpriced or anything. She has a whole heap of other designs for these 6-day blankets, as well as other patterns altogether. Once my blanket was complete, it measured about 130 centimeters across, and I wanted to test this wool for shrinkage when washed in a washing machine on a wool setting. And so I actually started making a second star blanket before my partner pointed out, why are you making a second whole blanket to wash when you could just make a small square to test with? So I made up this little square, which was single crochet and double crochet, and it didn't shrink at all. This is how it looked all finished. What do you think? Would you make one? If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. And if you are interested to make a star blanket, please check out Betty McKnit's website. It is linked down below. If you would like to see me make another one of these blankets, please let me know. I'd be very interested to try out a different pattern. And that's all from me today, so I'll see you next time. I hope you have a good day. Bye!